There is a moment in every person's life when the floor disappears. An instant when everything you planned, everything you built, suddenly seems to make no sense at all. I did not come here today to talk about productivity strategies or short-term goals. I came to share with you 3 fundamental phases of true success, 3 moments from my own story. They are not great heroic feats. They are 3 phases that shaped every cell of my being. 3 phases that taught me that success is not a straight line. Success is a cycle of rebirths. The first phase is about the necessary fall. At 17 years old, I was working as a janitor in a commercial building to pay the rent on a tiny room. I earned so little that many times the meal was bread with mustard. I could not see how that situation could lead me somewhere grand. My mind told me I was trapped. Reality screamed that I was insignificant. Until one night, while mopping the floor of the 10th floor hallway, a thought crossed my chest like lightning. What if this pain was exactly the springboard I needed? In that moment, I understood something that changed everything. Most people avoid the fall. They do everything to keep themselves comfortable, to protect what they barely have. But true success demands a phase of total emptying. You must be broken in order to be rebuilt the right way. I am not talking about pointless tragedy. I am talking about that moment when you realize that the life you are living is not your own. You are only repeating patterns, fears, and expectations that were placed on you. The fall phase is the interruption of the automatic. And believe me, you are not going to like it. You will feel humiliated, lost, frustrated. You will question your value. But that is exactly where the magic begins. Because when you have nothing left to lose, a force that was asleep starts to awaken. I felt that force in the hallway of that building with my hands on the mop. It did not come as a scream, but as a very clear inner voice. You were not born to clean other people's floors. You were born to clean the limiting beliefs of the world. Right there on that wet floor, I declared the end of my first phase. What came next demanded an even higher emotional price. Because the second phase is not about getting up quickly. It is about building the foundations while the clay is still soft. The second phase is about the silent reinvention. When I got out of that scarcity situation, I thought that success was simply a matter of making money and proving my worth. I chased external results with brutal force, and it worked for a while. I filled my pockets and my schedule, but inside there was a strange ache. An emptiness that money could not fill, an insomnia that achievements could not solve. Until a wise woman and unexpected mentor asked me something I have never forgotten. What are you really building? A fortune or a prison? Silent reinvention starts with questions that hurt. Because you discover that you can be successful in the eyes of others and completely bankrupt in your own eyes. True success must include inner fulfillment. There is no point in having the trophy if you cannot look at yourself in the mirror with peace. And I used to hate looking in the mirror, because I knew I was accumulating things to run away from something. What was I afraid of? I was afraid that the boy from the hallway was still there, and that everything was nothing more than a mask. So I withdrew, not from the world, but from the noise. I spent months studying forgotten masters, ancient philosophies, neuroscience, physiology. I decided to understand the patterns of the human mind with the same obsession that an Olympic athlete studies their body. It was in that silence that I discovered the 3 decisions that shape destiny: what you focus on, the meaning you give it, and what you do with it. But I also discovered something deeper. You cannot change your life if you do not know how to change your emotional state in the middle of the storm. Silent reinvention is the phase in which you stop seeking applause and start seeking truth. And when you align yourself with your truth, the universe begins to conspire in your favor. Opportunities do not sprout, they reveal themselves. The right people appear, paths open up. But that only happens when you establish a standard of inner excellence that no one sees. It is the invisible work that generates visible success. In this phase, I also learned that the pain of growth is optional, but the suffering of stagnation is inevitable. The choice is yours: go through the silent reinvention or scream on the outside while crumbling on the inside. I chose to dive in, and it was the most terrifying and at the same time the most liberating decision of my life. That led me to the third phase. The phase that most people never reach because they get distracted by the shine of the middle of the road. It is the phase of overflowing contribution. I had overcome scarcity, rediscovered my center, developed powerful tools. I felt strong, whole. But something was still missing. One day, during an event with thousands of people, an older gentleman came up to me and said, "Tony, I followed all your steps. I have health, money, relationships, but I still ask myself what for." That question pierced me like a spear, because deep down I was asking myself the same thing. Then I understood the third phase. Success is not about what you accumulate, but about what you pour out. Success is not about what enters your circle, but about how much you expand the circle of others. The contribution phase is not a stage where you retire and give a little bit. It is the energy that must permeate all the other phases from the very first day. Because when you live in a state of contribution, the fall becomes accelerated learning. The reinvention becomes a gift to serve better. This phase made me build projects that touch millions of lives. But more than that, it made me look at my own family, at my friends, at the bus driver, at the woman serving coffee, and see human beings with dreams just as legitimate as my own. True success begins to pulse when you feel the pain and the hope of others as if they were your own. And no, that is not weakness. It is the most advanced form of emotional and spiritual intelligence that exists. In this phase, everything you learned in the previous 2 must be taught. Because knowledge only becomes wisdom when it is shared. The life you transformed becomes the map so that others can find their way, and that generates such great meaning that the fear of death diminishes. The fear of criticism disappears. The fear of scarcity evaporates. You understand that legacy is not what you leave when you die, it is what you plant while you breathe. I share these 3 phases so that you stop chasing empty goals and start building a life that makes sense on every level. But I know that just telling stories will not change your life if you do not apply this right now. So I'm going to give you a single question for each phase. Take this question and let it burn in your chest until the answer appears. For the fall phase, what are you avoiding losing? That is actually keeping you from gaining yourself. Look at what you hold onto the tightest: a mediocre job, a broken relationship, public image, and ask, does this define me or imprison me? The fall is not a punishment. It is a liberation in disguise. Wake up to the fact that sometimes the greatest favor the universe can do for you is to remove what you do not have the courage to let go of. For the silent reinvention phase, what is the conversation you avoid having with yourself every single day? This phase will demand that you stop making noise and start listening to yourself. Do not look for an answer in the external world before digging deep into your inner desert. The desert is not empty, it is full of clues about who you really are. But most people run to distractions because they are afraid of silence. Do not be afraid, it is there that you will find your greatness. And for the overflowing contribution phase, who grows when you achieve success? If your victory lifts no one, it is too small for the size of your soul. I am not talking about guilt, I am talking about direction. Expand your vision, include others. Because when you condition your nervous system to feel genuine pleasure in contributing, financial, emotional, and physical success becomes a natural consequence. And fulfillment finally stops being a mirage. Now, I want you to imagine a timeline. On that timeline are the 3 phases I described. But here's the secret I have not yet revealed: you are going to live these 3 phases many times in your life. This is not a linear journey. You will fall, reinvent yourself, contribute, and then fall again at a higher level. The great difference between the winners and the ones who give up is not the absence of falls. It is the speed with which they turn the fall phase into learning and pain into purpose. Do you know why most people do not reach the top? Because they want to skip the first phase. They want success without scars. They want reinvention without the emptying. But nature does not work that way. Every seed breaks open in the dark before seeing the light. Every butterfly struggles to leave the cocoon, and it is exactly that struggle that strengthens its wings. If you remove the struggle, you kill the achievement. Therefore, stop playing the victim. Stop thinking that the phase you are living right now is a mistake. It may be the most important piece of your puzzle. You just cannot see it yet because you are inside the frame. But I am on the outside looking at you, and I can state with every letter the phase you are living right now has an explosive purpose if you decide to extract its most empowering meaning. Now close your eyes for a moment. Feel the air coming in and going out. Take the phase you are in right now. Give it a name. Feel the discomfort if that is the case. And now, listen, you are not what happened to you. You're what you choose to do with what happened. That is your power, that is your freedom. Nobody can take that away from you. The line that separates true success from bitter failure is not talent, it is not luck, it is not genetics. It is the non-negotiable decision to honor all the phases, to embrace the fall as a cruel but fair teacher, to dive into the reinvention with fierce humility, to expand your contribution like a generous giant, and to repeat this cycle with an open heart. You may be thinking, Tony, that sounds beautiful, but my reality is too harsh. And I answer, I have seen human beings in the most miserable conditions on the planet break cycles of poverty, violence, and despair using these very same principles. I am not here to sell fantasy. I am here to remind you of who you really are. You are not fragile, you are not small, you are not alone, but you must play the real game. And the real game starts when you get tired of being a spectator in your own life and take the lead. Right now you can make a microscopic decision that alters the direction of your destiny. It does not have to be grand. A micro action with meaning changes your state, and a new state creates a new pattern, and a new pattern creates a new destiny. Remember, the 3 phases repeat themselves until you deeply understand that success is not a place to arrive at. It is a relationship that you establish with your own soul, with others, and with the time you have on this earth. It is a dynamic balance between the courage to empty yourself, the discipline to rebuild yourself, and the generosity to give yourself away. If this speech were to light just one spark in you, it would already be worth it. But I want more. I want that spark to become a fire that burns your excuses, your fears, your masks, and that from that fire only what is true remain. Because true success does not scream, it does not need approval, it just shines. And when you find these 3 phases and live them with intensity, you do not just reach the top. You become the kind of person that neither the summit can corrupt nor the valley can destroy. But what are you going to do today? Not tomorrow, not Monday, today. Write one sentence on paper, define which phase you belong to right now, and do one thing that your future self will thank you for and not regret, because the clock does not stop, but every second has power if you're awake. I believe in you. Now believe in yourself. Go live the phases of true success. Now.